you always have to make sure that you put your art somewhere where it's legal. Really be part of every city's culture, I think.
Home to a long-standing and proud Bangladeshi community.
Good evening and welcome to the London Edit. We've got a great half an hour coming up for you tonight with stories from across the capital. We've been working closely with students from the University of Greenwich to put together this special programme, giving the next generation of creators the chance to flex their skills and produce stories that matter to them. Coming up, we'll be taking a look at London's cinematic and creative landscapes with a trip to Regent Street Cinema and the Barbican. And we'll check in with the latest developments happening on Brick Lane before finishing the programme in South East London on Trafalgar Road in Greenwich. But first, we're heading south of the river to Leek Street in Lambeth, the famous graffiti tunnel. A unique and inspiring place to be, the tunnel provides artists with a space to hone their craft without limits, resulting in a constantly evolving work of art with every fresh coat of paint. Let's join Lydia Hawkins now to discover the talent hidden deep in the tunnel.
Hello, I'm Lydia Hawkins and today we're here at Leek Street, a road tunnel here in Waterloo where graffiti is legal and promoted. We'll be speaking to a local graffiti artist and members of the public on their views on graffiti at Leek Street.
So I'm Soda, I'm Italian. I've been doing graffiti for 33 years now. This friend of mine wanted to go out by night and write Che Guevara is alive. And it was a nice experience for me because the adrenaline was a lot, made me feel wanting to do more. I didn't really like what I did because it was a political message. To me, politics are not part of it.
Graffiti is often seen as vandalism by some people and art by others. Where do you stand on that, and do you feel that it can impact a community or city's culture?
I don't care what other people think about criminals painting on the walls. I don't see any criminal offense to anybody apart from give some color to a wall. I started with illegals. I can stand on both sides because I come from illegal. That kind of vandalism doesn't come from graffiti. Actually come from the population that is not making graffiti.
After speaking to our artists, we decided to see what the public have to say about Leek Street.
Wow. My first sensation was, wow, fantastic.
Yeah. First thing that I noticed when I came in here is that it definitely seems kind of like a bit of a battleground.
You're allowed to come down here and practice.
The art is like 360 degrees everywhere, just makes it feel like such a full-on experience that I think you can't really get anywhere else.
Do you think that graffiti should be more accepted in public spaces?
Well, I'm a big fan of property destruction, so I am totally, I feel like if they can get away with it, I'm happy to see it anywhere that it can be.
It really depends where, right? Like, I think there should be spaces in the cities for people to do graffiti like Leek Street, but just not anywhere, right? So it's a matter of doing it in the appropriate places.
If I look at the art here, I see that it's very full of depth and meaning, and there's so much hard work and love put into it. So I think that in this case, it's absolutely street art. But I can also understand that some people consider it vandalism when it's on prohibited like places, and that you always have to make sure that you put your art somewhere where it's legal.
This has been Lydia Hawkins here on Leek Street.
Now, from the urban art of Leek Street, we move to the historic grandeur of Regent Street, the birthplace of British cinema. But while the heritage is rich, the future's uncertain. Data from the Independent Cinema Office suggests a third of our independent screens could close in the next few years, as more of us choose the sofa over the stools. Yet with so much history etched into its walls, the iconic Regent Street Cinema is determined not to become a thing of the past. Here's Shannon with the story.
I'm Shannon Moore with LTV Network, and I'm here at Regent Street Cinema to explore the independent cinema scene in central London. After getting a quick look around, we sat down with Ellie Johnson to discuss the state of indie cinema in a quickly changing landscape of streaming, multiplexes, and blockbuster filmmaking.
Regent Street Cinema is called the birthplace of cinema because it is the site at which the Lumiere brothers premiered Moving Image for the UK to a paying audience in 1896 on what would have been a screen that has since been upgraded. The very train film that you may or may not be aware of that resulted in people running out of the cinema happened here. The legacy of being the birthplace of British cinema means a lot, I think, especially to the staff here. Everyone's really passionate about the history of cinema. I think particularly like in a landscape where everyone is streaming things, it's really exciting and important to have historical cinemas that do kind of like within the walls of this cinema is where like Sharon Tate came here for premieres. So much history in cinema and so much has changed and we've been here kind of through it all. It's no brainer. People go to Odeon and View and Cineworld because they're familiar with the brand. So it's really difficult for independent cinemas to build up that like loyal viewership and audience. On the outskirts where there's cost of living crisis and councils can't support cinemas, it's just impossible for cinemas to stay open and really disappointing to see that areas will be built up and, dare I say, gentrified, and then the cinemas are not valued like they should be. But arts in general are not valued like they should be. And I think, unfortunately, independent cinemas are just a casualty of that. There's so much going on in the world, it's hard to be loud about we should protect cinemas because it is a luxury for people sometimes to go to the cinema. And I'm not naive to that fact that paying for the cinema is a luxury. How else do we tell stories but through art and through cinema? And it is the most simple and powerful way, I think, to build community and share stories of other people and other experiences. And I think we should all be concerned about voice being limited. Cinema is the most profound way to experience emotion and community and escapism and education, and there is rarely a film you can see that won't satisfy one of those things. Even if you get angry at a film, you get angry for a reason, and that could be because you think the film's bad, and that's also important to experience that, and it's always with community. I think it's the easiest and simplest and best way to build community.
We're moving on now to another iconic street in the city. Brick Lane is famous for its vibrant cuisine and lively markets. It's a street in transition. To some, the recent wave of developments has brought much needed investment, footfall and a new lease of life to East London's economy. But for others, the rising rents and corporate focus has been met with concern, with some worried that the Bangladeshi heritage that made this area a destination in the first place could soon diminish. Let's take a closer look at the story.
We are here on Brick Lane, one of London's most iconic locations, famous for its markets, food and street art. It is also known as Bangla Town, home to a long-standing and proud Bangladeshi community.
For decades, Brick Lane has been the heart of London's Bangladeshi community. Now rising investment and redevelopment driven by the area's growing popularity are bringing new cafes, art spaces and businesses that are reshaping the street's familiar character. While the area's transformation brings fresh energy and visitors, many long-standing family businesses are struggling to keep up with rising rents and shifting customer habits. We spoke with one of the owners of one of Brick Lane's oldest market stores.
We had to adapt, Touches had to adapt throughout the years. Before, we were concentrating mainly in Bangladeshi family, Bangladeshi customers. We'll be probably at about 90% Bangladeshi and 10% non-Bangladeshis. We have 75% non-Bangladeshis and 20-25% Bangladeshi customers. There used to be a lot of sense of community. It's a landmark for us.
Many long-standing business owners share similar concerns about rising rents and rapid change.
I feel as though the shops and local businesses here could be uprooted and could be forced to shut down as a result of rents being hiked up.
At recent planning inquiries for the Truma Brewery site, we spoke to local residents about what these changes mean for their community.
Today is the first day of the public inquiry, and it is frightening because we actually don't know which way it's going to head. We are not against development. Development is good for any area. What we are against as a resident of Spitalfield Bankstown is we need housing. We are suffering overcrowdedness. We don't have no park space, we don't have no green space, we don't have no space for women to go and go to any community centres, and affordability is going to be the next thing that's going to be targeted. Every single person in this community, they are important to us. And this is an area that is very popular for the migrant community for decades and centuries.
During the inquiry, the developer's legal representative argued that government planning policy prioritizes economic growth, while local campaigners raised concerns about cultural displacement. The Housing Secretary is expected to review the planning inspector's report and announce a decision later this year.
Brick Lane, it's developing. And for some long-time residents, rising costs and new developments are a real challenge. Yet the Bangladeshi community remains determined to preserve its people, culture and businesses. For Local TV, I'm Stella Verad reporting from Brick Lane.
That's all for part one, but there's plenty more to come on the London Edit. After the break, we're celebrating the indie spirit with a local filmmaker before taking a tour of the London landmarks that have starred on our screens for decades. We'll also be heading over to Greenwich to hear one woman's incredible story about how this city helped her dreams come true. You won't want to miss it. Make sure you join us for all that and more right after this. Welcome back to the London Edit. Now, we all know that London is a city of stories, but it's also one of the world's biggest film sets. From the gritty back streets of East London to the postcard perfect squares of Notting Hill, our capital has been the silent star of the silver screen for decades. Whether it's a high-octane Hollywood chase or a classic period drama, you've likely seen these streets before, even if you didn't realise it. So grab your popcorn as we take a cinematic tour through the iconic locations that have made London a legend of the cinema.
London. We know this city as home to Big Ben and Buckingham Palace. We've seen it in the classic, beloved films about Sherlock Holmes and Harry Potter. But is that all London is known for? Today we'll reveal a little more and tell you about the corners of London that, having become famous in the cinema, are still not the first to come to mind when mentioning the capital.
Barbican, a unique area of London filled with architectural inspiration and not without a single tourist. But after having filmed the Star Wars spin-off here, it cannot possibly be called anything other than the capital of the Galactic Empire.
The Barbican estate was constructed on a bomb-damaged site between the 1960s and 1970s, designed by architects Chamberlain, Powell and Bonn. With these brutalist walls, clear lines and a mixture of glass and concrete, at first glance you wouldn't think that a Roman fort once stood here.
And now London knows something about Barbican. Let's move on to the next. V for Vendetta, Atonement, Darkest Hour, and Sherlock. What do these places have in common? Well, it has something to do with this place, Aldwych.
The station begun its life in 1907, not as Aldwych, but as Strand Station, built upon the demolished site of the Royal Strand Theatre. The vision for it was grand. It was to be the bustling southern terminus of a major underground line. However, due to mergers and rerouting of the tube network, the reality was far more modest.
I'm going to ask people if they have ever watched a film that has been filmed in this lovely location.
Oof, I've watched a film that was filmed in this location, and the film is The Atonement.
I've seen Darkest Hour, that was really good. I'll be honest, I haven't seen anything else. Have you seen any of those?
In V for Vendetta for myself.
And clearly not all cinematic and historical places of London are visible. Now I do need to go to the next location, however I was planning on taking a train, and now I can't, so I'm going to have to walk. And here we are, folks, at the birthplace of Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. It's Thamesmead. I'm almost certain that the lack of amenities, poor transport links, and high construction costs did not lead to it being known as a concrete sink estate. Perhaps Kubrick made it look a little bit better in the movie.
Thamesmead was conceived by the late Greater London Council in the late 1960s as a futuristic new town built on former marshland to address London's post-war housing shortage.
Thamesmead was originally designed using brutalist and modernist architecture, as well as featuring lakes for drainage as well as leisure.
Alright folks, that's all. This was London Through the Lens. Have a good evening, everybody.
As you can see, London has played host to some huge films and TV shows, but you don't need a Hollywood budget to tell a powerful story in this city. While the blockbusters get the glory, a new generation of creators is working behind the scenes, capturing the capital through a different lens. One such talent is a young filmmaker who's proving all you really need to make an impact is a vision and a voice. Here's William with the story.
In the heart of London, a new wave of independent filmmakers is redefining the British action genre. Among them is Okira Films, who blends martial arts culture in a way that creates breathtaking new visuals. Let's take a look. So for those at home who don't know, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Akira and I'm from London. I'm a filmmaker, director and animator. I've been directing for 10 years and I've been animating for about 3 years or so. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who are your main inspirations that define who you are today?
One of my main inspirations that made me who I am today will have to be Jackie Chan. The reason being is just the way how he brought action comedy to cinema. Action comedy is just something that I love doing. But that's why you can see that when you watch some of my short films, you can kind of see that I've added a bit of action comedy into my own films, but with my own twist to it. I'll be using an environment to fight, or, you know, I just try to be something different. And we just don't have action comedy anymore. Like, I feel like the last time we've ever seen action comedy was probably like late 90s, and that was it. But I have been told like, oh, I can't do this because, you know, it's very limited budget with other like film companies. But sometimes it's very rare for me to get a big budget to make these films, so I go ahead and invest my own money into it and make the films, giving people opportunities. And that's exactly what Jackie Chan did back in the days. It's only right I bring it back to, you know, to the 21st century and you know, just adding my own twist. But also the UK is just not, we're just lacking a lot of action films, you know. So I thought that'd be great to do that. And a lot of people just love martial arts. Like, who doesn't?
What was your journey like as an independent filmmaker?
So I shot skits, and then I started turning into fight scenes. And then so the more I kept making skits, they started becoming more like a film. And then I implemented like fighting in there. Then every time I kept making more, they started becoming more film-like. And editing just got better. I started learning more. And then yeah, that's how I took it into the industry. But I always had a procedure. So I started from a Samsung phone, and then an iPhone, and then a small PowerShot camera, and then an iPhone 15 Pro Max, and then worked my way and got my own camera. So yeah, it's part of the process, but it took time and patience. But yeah, man.
Akira, do you have any words of encouragement for aspiring new directors and filmmakers?
Words of encouragement is just to be consistent. It will take time to make films, and even if your film is going to be 2 minutes, 3 minutes, just do it, because you will learn from it. Like from me, when I was making a lot of films, I've made like around 50 films so far. Even though they're like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I've still classified them as a film. But just keep making them and be original, do something that no one hasn't done before. And it's all about networking, meeting new people, because you just learn from experience, you know. But yeah, just being original is just important, and enjoying it.
Moving on to our final story of the evening, and as we know, the most moving stories aren't always found in film scripts. They're lived every day on our streets. Our next guest arrived in the capital with little more than a dream. Through grit, heart and a love for the city, she transformed a difficult beginning into a flourishing business that's now a cornerstone of the community. It's a story of resilience that reminds us all what's possible. Let's take a look.
Action. Hi, welcome to One Beauty Salon.
London is a city that welcomes immigrants with open arms. It's somewhere full of opportunity no matter who you are, so today we're speaking to Wanda. She came here in 2012. Since then, she has become a valued member of her community and successful business owner.
Tell me more about yourself. Who are you?
My name is Wanda. I'm owner Beauty Salon 1.
The salon is located in Greenwich and has been open for 8 years. My mum moved here around 12 years ago and she started working as a hairdresser in a beauty salon in East London.
No friends, no family, no English, just me and my son.
What made your mom decide to open her own salon?
She was looking for a unique place closer to home and she loved the neighborhood in Greenwich.
I like this place. When I used to work as a salon, I don't see standard I wanted. And I decided to open my salon.
Looking back, what makes you proud?
I'm proud of my son, who supports me, who always with me. I'm proud of my customer, who many years with us. And this like not just a customer, this like family, this like community. Yeah.
How do you choose the people who work with?
When hiring a new team member, the most important thing to us is their personality and professional skills come after that.
Но если человек хорош, то его научить можно профессии очень быстро. Если человек не очень хорош, ничего ты уже с ним не сделаешь.
What do you love most about your everyday work here?
You know, some people get tired at work, but not me. I get energy from my people.
Seeing clients leave the salon with a smile on their face, enjoying their new look, is what makes us happiest as a team.
How do you want your clients to feel when they go around in the salon?
I'm happy to see our clients happy, smile, and pretty.
Wanda's journey reminds us that behind every small business is a story of resilience, welcome, and community. At a time when migration is often misunderstood, her experience shows how people who settle here enrich their neighborhoods and create spaces that welcome everyone. In a world full of noise about migration, stories like hers cut through and show the real London.
Bye!
That's all we have time for tonight on the London Edit. We hope you've enjoyed the journey from the cinematic history of Regent Street to the grassroots grit of our indie filmmakers and the inspiring resilience found in our local communities. We've seen today that London's culture isn't just found in galleries, it's lived on every corner. Thank you so much for watching. It's bye for now.